There was a small boy named Joe Massa, 2 years old, bright, curious. His laughter was like a burst of morning sun inside his home. He chased butterflies in the garden, carried around toy dinosaurs, and his eyes would light up when he saw his family. He was just beginning to learn the world, a world that should have protected him. On September 14th, 2024, Joe fell sick. He had vomited through the night. He felt weak, pale, his skin cool to the touch. His parents, Elouise and Danny, knew something was very wrong. With a shaking hand, they tucked him into the car and drove to Northern Beaches Hospital in Sydney, a place they believed offered care and safety, a place they trusted would help their son survive. They were wrong. They arrived at 7:06 a.m. Joe was carried inside, his heart racing fast, 182 beats per minute, far beyond what's normal for a toddler. His breathing was shallow and his body limp. He was dehydrated and in crisis. At triage, staff assigned him Category 3, which meant a wait of up to 30 minutes, despite a body clearly failing. Protocol dictated faster care, urgent attention, but instead, Joe was placed in a chair. Desks and beds stood empty. Supplies were within reach. An IV drip could have been started. Instead, nothing happened. His mother asked 3 times. 3 times she pleaded, "He needs fluids, please give him an IV drip." Still, the staff remained distant, absorbed in routines. By 7:39 a.m., Joe's condition deteriorated. His heart raced even more, 197 BPM. His skin splotchy, blotchy, his eyes rolling back. He was confused, fading. An expanding rash appeared across his body. He lost consciousness momentarily. Yet he remained in that chair. By 9:40 a.m., Joe's eyes rolled back again. His mother was screaming, "He's gone blind!" Still, response was delayed. The doctors and nurses had not reassessed. No monitors, no escalation, no adult noticing what a terrified mother knew in her bones. Only at 10:30 a.m., more than 3 hours after entry, did someone act. Joe was finally moved to a resuscitation room, but the damage had been done. Vital minutes had slipped away. At 10:47 a.m., Joe suffered a catastrophic heart arrest. Staff attempted CPR for 29 minutes, praying, shouting, trying to breathe life into him again. At first, there was a glimmer of hope, then despair. Later, tests showed irreversible brain damage. 2 days later, at Sydney Children's Hospital, Joe's life support was turned off. "My sweet boy had his whole life ahead of him," Joe's parents said. "We trusted the doctors to take care of him. Instead, our son died while we were ignored." National shock followed. Questions poured in. How could a hospital allow a child to suffer for hours? How many warnings were missed? How could so many protocols fail? In response, health officials initiated a Serious Adverse Event Review, SAER. It confirmed what Joe's parents feared. Internal escalation procedures like the REACH system meant to flag dangerous cases were never activated. IT systems failed to alert the team. The hospital operator, HealthScope, issued an apology. They accepted every recommendation. They promised change, revise protocols, improve training, fix IT flagging. But apologies weren't enough. On behalf of the family, New South Wales Premier Chris Minns promised answers. The Health Minister, Ryan Park, called it a terrible tragedy and pledged reforms. Amid growing pressure, the government announced a reworking of the REACH system, renaming it Joe's Rule. Under it, worried parents can escalate concerns via a dedicated number and see that their voice matters. Joe's Rule would be law. Every parent deserves that power. For Joe's parents, their grief never ends. They delivered one of Joe's toy shoes to the Premier, a symbol of remembrance and resolve. As his mother said, "We won't stop until our son's life, short as it was, makes a difference." Within weeks, the NSW Parliament's Public Accounts Committee launched an inquiry into Northern Beaches Hospital's safety. Auditors found that the hospital hadn't addressed previously flagged risks. Its integration with public health systems was weak. Quality outcomes were slipping. Patient complications rose. The report concluded that private operation of public emergency care, a model assigned to Northern Beaches under a public-private partnership, was failing patients. Health Minister Park declared such models would not be expanded. Meanwhile, internal hospital sources painted a troubling picture. Understaffing, cost-cutting, overworked teams, burned-out nurses. Many junior staff lacked senior support. Experienced clinicians had departed. Normal staff was left to handle chaos. To the mass, this was larger than their personal loss. It was a moral cry. Joe was the most beautiful boy, his mother said. Loved his dinosaurs, had an infectious smile, and they didn't listen. Their fight became the voice for other families. Hospitals around Australia began reassessing protocols. Parents, emboldened, demanded rights. Journalists pressed for transparency. Lawmakers drafted legislation for mandatory escalation systems nationwide, because no other child should suffer for lack of recognition, because parents should be heard, because tragedy should not be in vain. Joe's small handprint is in legal drafts, in policy meetings, in education modules. Joe's rule is already saving children, turning tears into justice. Still, nothing erases the pain. On quiet nights somewhere, Joe's empty bed stands in a silent room, the promise of tomorrow he never reached. His parents hold his memory, his photo, his toy shoes, as if courage could be drawn from sorrow. They gather strength from strangers, moved to tears by his story, from legal victories and reform bills, from each new hospital policy that asks, "Did we do enough?"